I would like to call to order the March 11th, 2021 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Our invocation, I'll call on Reverend Lowe Davis. This will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us and on the city of Southport. We call on you now to guide us to make good and right decisions for the city of Southport, all who live here, all who work here, and all who visit here. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Davis. Next will be public comment. If we have anyone for public comment, Madam Clerk.
Glenn Price.
Got the microphone on, and name, address, and your topic. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. My name is Glendale Price. I live at 6142 River Sound Circle in the Landing at Southport. The reason I'm here this evening, first of all, I'd like to thank those who are native to this area for putting up with us transfers. But the one thing I will point out is we all have something in common, and that's the love for the scenic beauty of coastal North Carolina. The reason I'm here is to address concerns about the LED lights, specifically the ones used in residential areas throughout our neighborhoods. First of all, great job on the main thoroughfares. The LED lights, the new ones that are being used, especially along Moore Street and other places, are fantastic. They have taken away the distraction of the old halogen dome that are used in some areas still, which take away that ability to have the night vision while you're driving in the evening and darkness. They also keep the light from detracting from your eyes during inclement weather. So those are great, regardless, without mentioning the fact that the power savings to the city has got to be much better. The reason I'm here, though, is the high-intensity LEDs that are being placed in the residential areas, specifically in our neighborhoods and in front of our homes. The reason why we're here is because of the beauty that surrounds us. Southport, the historic charm of Southport, is the main reason why I moved here from the Washington metropolitan area. After growing up there and spending almost 50 years in that area and watching it evolve from rural area of Clifton, Virginia, about 15 miles west of Washington, D.C., to a very busy, well-lit city area. It was the main reason why I had to leave there. Well, that and economic reasons, but we'll get to that later. These lights that are being used now are something that I would refer to them or address them as lights that are being used in a baseball stadium, a football arena, something where a great deal of light is necessary for the sports that are being played, where vision is critical. In this type of setting where we are here, this is a residential area. The lights that were there when we moved into this neighborhood were a low, dim glow. They were enough to accent the light along the pathways and the sidewalks in our residential areas. That was all that was necessary because they did not detract from the beauty of the sky and the area around us. These new lights, they're a great benefit to our builders in the area especially the one that's right in front of my house, because the builder across the street has got a beautiful, bright spotlight on his job site during the nighttime, and I doubt there'll be any thefts there. Having been a police officer for 28 years, and my last 10 years being in the motor squad and in charge of traffic safety, among other things, I can tell you I know the benefits of using these lights. I can see them along our main thoroughfares, but I would please ask that whoever's in charge of selecting these lights, please look at alternatives. There are a great deal of variety of LED lights, lower intensity, yellowed lights, as opposed to the brilliant white. Again, thank you very much for your time. I hope I make a difference. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Appreciate your comments. Madam Clerk? Okay. Anyone else that would like to speak in public comment? Okay, great. Thank you. Item E, approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to amend?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve with the exception of item number 3, which I'd like to have removed, the Haven preliminary site plan. Otherwise, I'd move that we approve the remainder of the agenda.
Okay, second. Any other changes or amendments to the agenda? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Item F, swearing in a city clerk, Dorothy Dutton. We'll go up to the podium. Our ethics statement. If any members know of any conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with respect to the matters on the agenda, please so state at this time. All right, no conflicts. Excellent, thank you. Item G, approval of the consent agenda.
Move we've approved the consent agenda.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, Alderman Sharkey and then Alderman Lombardi. On our consent agenda, we have, of course, the minutes, the performance appraisal system, the approval of the Brunswick Family Assistance Program. That's going to be $2,000 from the City of Southport. Of eligible employees, retroactive 2.5% pay increase, and that will start from December 29th, 2020. That's the pay period. All right, so thank you for that. Item 1 on the agenda. The Brunswick County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. That's in your packet. Oh, yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you, City Manager. I'm trying to get to the ball game. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm just kidding. You know, I work 12 hours a shift or more. I'm good. No, I'll take a motion with those changes on the consent agenda. Just the December 29th, 2020. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, Mayor Pro Tem, second? Okay, Mr. Lombardi and Alderman Sharkey. Okay. All in favor? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. First item on the agenda, Brunswick County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. And this was an interesting read, and I know you all read it. The Rural Planning Organization Regional Transportation Advisory Committee. The great acronyms RPO, RTAC. I learn every day, so thank you for that. And the acronym VGO, Vision, Goals, and Objectives. So I really enjoyed reading this, and they had some excellent information. Mr. Thomas Lloyd.
I'll just run through it real quick for the benefit of everyone in the public, everybody here. This is the Brunswick County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. The plan is finally kicking off. NCDOT has been working on the modeling for this project for some time. With these CTPs, it's a 25 to 30 year long range multimodal transportation plan. And in these plans, they assess Brunswick County's existing as well as future transportation needs, including roadways, bicycle, pedestrian, transit, and rail facilities. The goals of this are to assist with identifying transportation deficiencies and setting short and long-term transportation goals for people of this region, and also to use this plan to reinforce and support other local and regional funding initiatives for these types of projects. Once this is finalized, we'll come back to you for the City of Southport to adopt their portion of the plan. We'll keep you updated on how that process goes. One of the things I found pretty interesting, but I think we all know it just because this is a very large growing area, but one of the things that they really focus on is gathering data and growth data, and they work with the Office of the State Budget and Management to predict future growth in these patterns. And according to that office, Brunswick County will experience a 2.93% annual growth rate between 2017 and 2045. So this is a much faster rate than the rest of the state. The average growth rate in North Carolina is 0.9%. So, I mean, we're over 3 times that, which I think is no surprise for all of us. But the steering committee is working all this and on this, and as part of it, they're asking for the public to be involved in the process. The link that I included on this memo was actually a dead link, and they sent me a new one today. I forwarded that to all your emails. They're also going to be coming up with some brochures and some advertisements. So once I get those, I'll work with our communications department, and we'll put that on our Facebook pages and our city website. I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability, but we're kind of just getting started with the process. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them.
This is an update of an existing plan, Thomas, is that right? We do this, every 5-10 years or something, is that?
I think it's a little bit more than that, but it is an existing plan.
And what's the time frame on it again? I'm sorry.
It's
As far as doing the plan itself.
I'm not sure on all that yet.
Okay,
but
okay.
I think it'll be within the next year though,
Okay.
probably.
And Mr. Lloyd, did they say that 2.93, that almost 3%, was that just going to be concentrated here in Southport, or hopefully across the county?
Yeah, I would assume it's across the county. But yeah, we are seeing a lot everywhere in Brunswick County. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, appreciate that. Our next item is item 2, and this is a resolution directing the clerk to investigate a petition for the voluntary non-contiguous annexation petition at 1136 Delaware Street, requested by J.R. McMillan. And I just, this was interesting to me also, because if it had been a Jeopardy question about, Alex, is there what's the name of a street that's a state in Southport? And the answer, what is Delaware? I'd have missed that one, because I had no idea there was a Delaware Street, but it's off of 11th Street. So you have to drive down 11th, and it's on the right there. And it's a non-contiguous, and Lloyd, if you would fill us in on that, please.
Yes, so it is a property that is zoned R20 off West 11th, as the mayor said. It's about a little over 12,000 square feet. The owner is interested in annexation in order to have access to sewer as well as the in-city water rate. If it's the pleasure of the board, the first step in the annexation process is to recognize the receipt of the petition and to adopt a resolution requesting that the city clerk verify the sufficiency of it. If the clerk does verify that at the April 8th meeting, then the Board of Aldermen may then adopt a resolution setting a public hearing at the May 13th meeting.
Questions for Mr. Lloyd?
Looking at the survey, the plat map, is there, Thomas, this is the existing house, right? Okay, and if his application is, a motive is to gain access to city sewer service and so forth, I see a manhole, I believe, here. Do we have sewer lines down to that, down the Delaware Street to the house? Or if we annex, are we going to have to pay to run sewer lines down the road?
So I believe the issue is that I guess it's the distance from that manhole potentially. I'm not positive. I know Tom Stanley was aware of this, but I mean, I think they would still have to be a city customer in order to tag into our sewer. So I'm not sure what the exact plan is in terms of them tagging in, but I don't think it has to be extended all the way down there, because that is pretty close to where the manhole is.
Be good to know.
Well, we can certainly figure that out by next meeting.
Else? Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to investigate the sufficiency of the above described petition by the city clerk. Alderman Sharkey?
I'd like to make the motion that we adopt this resolution that directs the city clerk, Ms. Dutton, to investigate a petition received under General Statutes 160A-58.1, which is to investigate the potential for annexation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. On the agenda, that the Board of Aldermen endorse comments for NCDEQ public hearing on groundwater standards. You have, I believe, an update on your desk, Alderman, and I enjoyed reading what was in here because this is reminds me of days of organic chemistry. I almost didn't go to medical school because of organic chemistry, and that's what these PFAS and all this type of thing, polyfluoroalkyls, and you had to know how to draw all these and what reactions they did. So, you know, the Gen X and everything, this is a difficult problem. Air. So I appreciate Alderman Sharkey bringing this up, and you have the floor.
I thought it would be beneficial for the city to participate in the collection of comments on the proposed groundwater standards that DEQ has advertised. And this is a process that's supposed to happen once every 3 years, but it has been delayed lately, so this is the first review in about 10 years, I think it is. I was notified of this process by an email from Coastal Federation, an alert kind of thing. So I get those regularly on different kinds of issues. The groundwater standards would apply to any contaminant that's discharged in the land and on the ground or into a body of water. So it is pretty broad as far as its impact. And we are going to be impacted greatly by the fact that we have to have, the decision's been made to install a very large reverse osmosis system in Brunswick County. Contaminants from getting to, you know, people's taps and everything. And so I felt that it was important for us to express to DEQ that it's important that the source of this stuff is stopped as much as possible, because it becomes the burden of the taxpayers, the municipalities, the residents to clean things up instead of the person who created the contamination, if you have a loose standard. So if you would, I'd read the comments, or if anybody has a question first, I can answer a question. So this would be done electronically because, of course, with the virus conditions, they're not having any live public hearings. So we'd submit this as an email. And it reads as the following. Comment on proposed groundwater standards. The City of Southport Board of Aldermen provide these comments as part of the public hearing process. The City of Southport has a history of advocating for environmental protections that benefits humans as well as other species. In the past, the City of Southport has passed resolutions against offshore drilling, seismic blasting, and urged the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality to impose higher standards on industry that had a negative impact on the air and water quality. The Southport Board of Aldermen recognize that the per- and polyfluorinated compounds, PFAs, are known as forever, and because once released into the environment, they do not break down. The Southport Board of Aldermen acknowledge that biomonitoring studies by the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that the blood of nearly all Americans is contaminated with PFAs, and the release of should be eliminated. In the absence of a general ban on the release of PFAs into the environment, the Southport Board of Aldermen acknowledged the proposed groundwater standards are an improvement over the current set of standards in place. We support the proposal to change the way interim standards can be adopted in the future so there is greater transparency for the public. We also support the requirement that interim standards are based on reputable science. So the reason it's interim standards is these chemicals that we're talking about are basically unregulated at the EPA level. And so scientists are determining now what's a harmful limit. So they're going to adopt an interim standard that may not be the permanent standard because they know it's a hazard, but they don't know exactly today what's going to be the minimum that we want to accept. So that's why it talks about minimum standards or interim standards. The Southport Board of Aldermen understand that PFAs and PFOs are bioaccumulation known to be linked to cancers, thyroid hormone disruption, and low infant birth rates. We also understand that PFAs and PFOs are just two toxic chemicals within a much larger class of per- and polyfluorinated compounds known as PFAS. The Southport Board of Aldermen urges the NC Environmental Management Commission, which is the board that actually makes the recommendations on standards, to adopt standards that would instill a greater level of confidence of health protection and for reduction of these contaminants at the source, not with the consumer. These chemicals have been allowed to be discharged into the environment, contaminating the Cape Fear River and groundwater sources. Because contamination has been permitted, public utility services, municipalities, and private individuals must undertake the responsibility and bear the cost to eliminate these contaminants from the water sources to make it safe for consumption. Water rates will be raised this coming year in Brunswick County just to finance the cost of reverse osmosis to remove PFAs and PFOs from our source. Given the bioaccumulative properties of these chemicals, less quantity in groundwater is better for human health. It also reduces the burden on public utilities and municipalities to remove the harmful toxins to provide drinking water. The Southport Board of Aldermen urges the NC Environmental Management Commission to adopt groundwater standards for PFAs and PFOs that are lower than the proposed 70 parts per trillion. The City of Southport supports a new groundwater standard as strong as the ChemWars consent order. No more than 10 parts per trillion for any single PFAS, and no more than 70 parts per trillion for the sum of all PFAs, not just PFOs and PFOA, but all the PFAS that could be measured in groundwater with a certified lab method. Now that language comes specifically from the talking points from Coastal Federation and the other agencies that have been working to remove the Gen X from the water, Southern Environmental Law Council, Cape Fear Coastal or River Watch. So there's an assortment of environmentally conscious groups that have been working on this language, and they want the standard to reflect a lower amount for a total sum of these chemicals versus just two that they've picked out. Does that make sense? Okay. It does get a little hard to follow, but that's why I gave you the supporting notes on your table so that you can understand where I gleaned this from. I didn't come up with it on my own. It's reflective of the talking points that were provided. So I would just like this as written unless somebody has an improvement that they'd like to recommend.
I don't have an improvement, but I have a question. Am I correct that Brunswick County and other counties are suing over the Gen X? Suing I'm sorry?
The county does have a lawsuit on file. I don't know about the other counties. I know Brunswick County does.
Any other comments? This is an important issue. Clean water, clean air, the PFAS, as she said, they do not break down. They stay in the environment, and it cause a host of medical conditions, and we don't know the extent of it. How these chemicals affect the individual. Some they may not affect them. Some may have a predisposition for creating different types of illnesses. So this is a very important first step, and the goal is to have zero discharge of these chemicals. So anyway, I will, if there's no further discussion,
I just wanted to point out that we do have a history of being concerned about our environment around us, and that in the CAMA land use plan, Southport's CAMA land use plan, which is our comprehensive long-range strategic planning document, water quality is mentioned 124 times. So that's how important. Obviously, water's life. So that I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, excellent point. And we take water for granted. We open our tap. We have it in a bottle. Yet in third world countries, they spend between 5 and 10 hours a day looking for water, hauling water, bringing it back, boiling it, and that type thing. So we're so fortunate, and we need to protect this resource. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt this and put this in our comments to DEQ.
To direct the clerk to submit these comments as written with the email address that's on the top of the page, so, but before March 16th. That's the closing.
Okay, motion by Alderman Sharkey and a second by any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? I'm sure none opposed, so motion carried unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, Alderman Sharkey. Next item on our agenda. Approval to resume utility disconnections and delinquent fees. Finance Director Melanie Trexler.
Guess it's on now. First, I'd like to thank you all for your prayers and condolences during my dad's recent passing, and ask you that you continue to remember my family as we go forward. So we just need a clarification. We were already disconnecting our customers. So the question was, were we to resume the delinquent fees of $35? All the surrounding towns, Brunswick Electric and Brunswick County, did resume charging those delinquent fees. So that is what we wanted to do. I know this came back, was at the last board meeting. Sarah, any questions? That's right. I don't recommend that.
This is basically where we're coming into line with the other municipalities in with this fee. Part of it, there were no disconnections during COVID and that type thing, and just trying to help our citizens, but every other municipality has returned to charging a delinquent fee, and as you see in your packet, it's $35 if your bill's not paid by the 25th of each month.
If we go back to not disconnecting, then our delinquent customers are going to let their balances accumulate. Then we will be faced with whether or not we can offer them a payment plan, and that would have to come back to you for approval again. So it does create issues if we go back to not, disconnecting. I mean, all of our customers that were on the payment plans have all paid except for one. So they're all current. And so we felt like that it would be a good time to go back to charging the disconnection fee.
I agree. I think the timing is right. We've been through a process which was honorable to give people assistance and whatnot, but now we're at a point where I think it's fair to implement the fee again if there has to be a disconnect. There are methods for people to get assistance that's been pretty well publicized, and I know Teresa Jones works very hard to explain those options to people. I'd make the motion that we reinforce our disconnect fees and reconnect fees again like we did in the past.
I'm assuming this is, Melanie, is for the delinquent fees. That's what you're talking about?
Right, the $35 delinquent
Yes.
fee, right.
Not disconnection or?
We've been disconnecting, yes.
Yes, so that's already,
Right,
we're just talking about the delinquent fee.
right.
Correct. Okay, just wanted to clear that up. Okay. All right, so, okay, we have a first and a second by Mayor Pro Tem that Southport will resume charging the delinquent fee, $35 by the 25th. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, again, the Finance Director, Ms. Trexler, this has to do with the audit and the, it was a long document, but interesting. All the same, again, new acronyms, yes, generally accepted auditing standards. So I learn every time. So if you'll give the board an update on this, thank you.
Okay, so this is our third year with this audit firm, Thompson, Price, Scott and Adams. The contract is for $38,000 plus $3,500 for the financial statement. So we're just asking that you once again approve, for them to be our auditor for this year. And
As they charge for this current year?
I think it may have had a slight increase, but I would have to go back and look for sure.
No, I actually found the bid, or the proposal for business, to provide us a contract, and they quoted both years would be at this price.
Oh, great.
So it's the same. I found the document. So, yeah.
I'd move approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve hiring this firm again. We have a second by Mr. Spencer. Any further discussion? Okay. Okay, any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Drexler. Item 7, approval of the proposal for disaster planning and preparation services. This is an important contract for the city. This is Johnson Environmental and Disaster Consulting Services, and they have worked for the city before, and it has to do with debris removal and that type thing, getting bids. And I will turn it over to the city manager, Mr. Hargrove, who will enlighten us further.
Thank you, Mayor. So I know this is one of those topics that everyone likes to discuss, hurricane season. An interesting side note, I was reading an article here in the past week that said in the past 50 years, North Carolina has only escaped a hurricane-related event 12 years. So that just goes to show you we live in Hurricane Alley, and these kind of consulting services are very important to municipalities like us. This is basically an extension, a 2-year extension of a service contract we currently have in place. Johnson Environmental and Disaster Consulting Services does an excellent job for the city. It is completely reimbursable from FEMA. And so we're really satisfied from a staff perspective of how accommodating and effective that Barry and his crew are. So I would like you to strongly consider extending this contract this evening.
Mr. Hargrove, this is very important for our city. This company will, as Mr. Hargrove said, help us through the next hurricane. June 1st begins hurricane season. And if you had to bet, another one's going to come. Hopefully not, but odds are somewhere in North Carolina. So I will entertain a motion to hire Johnson Environmental and Disaster Consulting Services to honor that contract. Mr. Lombardi, is there a second? Second by Alderman Sharkey. Any further discussion? Low Davis.
Is this a contract, or is this, a contract that we need to bid out first?
It's a
Not
service.
immediate answer from the
Right,
attorney.
it's a
Okay.
service, so we don't have to bid it out, according to my esteemed counsel. I learned that today.
Okay. I don't have a quarrel with the company or the contract, I just want to be sure we wouldn't need to do that.
Yeah, and it's good that he did they did such a good job to have continuity. He worked well with the city and the staff during hurricane's name, but anyway, during that particular mean hurricane. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Committee reports. I'll start with Mr. Allen.
Okay, so we had the Yacht Basin. I guess we haven't reported on that since last time, have we? We had our last Yacht Basin committee meeting, and we the committee has come up with some recommendations that are going to be passed on to the mayor and to the aldermen regarding traffic and pedestrian safety recommendations in the Yacht Basin area. So those will be coming to us fairly soon. We're also continuing to look into some other issues in the Yacht Basin area. We have another meeting scheduled for March 24th of that Yacht Basin committee, and we'll continue to work on the other items that we have to look at down there. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Mr. Spencer. Thank you. Madam Lowe Davis.
The Forestry Committee, next week we'll be doing videos. Members of the committee will each do a 2-minute video talking about why, what's involved in Southport being Tree City, USA, talking about various issues involving our trees and how we value them and what the committee does. So if you see what looks like Hollywood around town next week, it's the Forestry Committee having their moment of star turn. And one thing that the committee talked about this week, there have been complaints about the tree planted in front of Old City Hall. It's not leaning. That's just the way it's growing, and as it gets even bigger, it will straighten itself out or take another turn and get more interesting, whatever, but it's fine. So no worries there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Davis. Mr. Lombardi.
Yep, the Beautification Committee met on Saturday, their normal first Saturday of the month cleanup. And among the volunteers, we had some more students, which we were happy with. And they helped stain all the swings and benches at the waterfront. That's the second time we've been staining those. They get pretty messed up with the birds. Another crew of volunteers assembled the picnic benches that we had cut all the pieces and stained, and now they put them together and they were all delivered. So that's done. And we thank everybody, especially the students, for their hard work. That's it.
The work that y'all do, and the first Saturday of every month, I'm sure you're welcome all to come and join. So thank you.
We had a very large crowd this Saturday.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
For the Parks and Recreation Department, updates, the work at Taylor Field Park continues. City staff, along with McGill and Associates, the project consultants, will be tagging the trees so that the clearing of the brush can begin as part of the site preparation for the installation of Phase 1. Again, the amenities for Phase 1 include 2 dog parks, one for small, one for large dogs, and a walking track and fitness stations. Phase 1 will also include the park entrance by the cemetery and the parking area at East Nash. Weather permitting, Phase 1 of Taylor Field Park will be completed October of this year, so that's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah. Next is just an update on the city dock restoration. In compliance with CAMA approval of the project, the city dock repairs will be completed in 2 phases. The first phase of the repairs will be completed by July 3rd of this year. In accordance with the CAMA rules, the second phase will be completed by July 3rd of next year. Even though the project won't be completed until next year, we are all excited. The work began today on the restoration of the Southport City Dock in the Yacht Basin. McPherson Marine is beginning the demolition phase of the project, and in conjunction with the demolition phase, citizens will have a rare opportunity to purchase a piece of history. The Parks and Recreation Department is planning on selling the old City Dock salvaged wood plank deck boards. Supply will be limited, so be on the lookout for details on how to purchase your very own piece of the old dock. Details will be on the city website, or you could call the Parks and Recs Department. For more information, proceeds from the sale of the old wood planks will help provide funding for future Parks and Recreation projects and activities. So, thank you.
Thank you, and what a great day. City dock being, I know you've worked on that a long time, as has city staff, so thank you for that. Next up, manager's comments. Mr. Hargrove.
Thank you, Mayor. So, this wasn't first on my list, but let's go ahead and talk about the city dock. We have sort of ran into a snafu with the boards. The demolition's going forward, but I had a conversation with McPherson Marine today, and apparently throughout the history of the dock, it has been quite securely nailed down, screwed down. There's a tremendous amount of apparatus holding those planks onto our pilings and infrastructure. He's concerned about the time that it will take to dismantle it board by board. He said he would try, but he would make no guarantees. He also said that if it did not come apart easily, it would take him, he might as well donate his services to the city because it would take that much time to tear it apart plank by plank. So it might not happen. I'm sorry, Karen.
We're a work in progress.
We're a work in progress. He did say that he would do everything he could to help us with that. He understood the significance of that, so he'd do everything, that he could. The normal procedure for taking apart is going between spans with a chainsaw, and then loading it onto a barge and carrying it to the landfill. We have discussed where he would be disembarking at, and maybe there's some options there, but we're working on that. So I wish we should have probably spoke about that before the meeting. So, but we're working on it, a work in progress. Second thing I would like to talk about, tax collections. Tax collections are coming along really well. We're right where we should be. We've pretty much collected our entire collections at this point of the year. Departmental budgets, everyone is where they should be. We should have 33.3%, or each department should have 33.3% of their budgets remaining, and we're right there. You're going to notice in your budget pack, in your agenda packets, that we don't have any financials for you this evening. Melanie and I are working diligently on a new dashboard, which will give you all this information without you having to flip through 75 pages of numbers. It will be on one piece of paper, and it will make it very easy to read and for everyone to understand. And so we're working on that. Hopefully, we'll try to have that ready for you by April. Speaking of April, I would like y'all to think about that we need to set up a couple more budget workshops. These particular workshops will be where the department heads will be bringing their budgets to board for approval. I do not have those dates yet because we are still working with the departments, but I anticipate those to be sometime early in April. But I will get back with you. I just wanted to put that on your radar. As far as the pedestrian corridor and the traffic design down at the Yacht Basin, we do have some estimates coming in for what that work will cost. I hope to have that for you in a timely manner so that you can be able to present that at your next Yacht Basin committee meeting, and maybe bring that forward for the April board meeting. Other than that, that's all I have, unless any of y'all might have a question for me. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hargrove. I just have a few comments. First of all, I think we should note that it was 1 year ago today, March 11th, 2020, that the World Health Organization declared coronavirus a pandemic. And we know what a horrific year this has been globally for our country, for our state, for our city. Our city employees have been working through these distressing times with such optimism and perseverance. I applaud every department and every employee, and as mayor am grateful, as all our citizens are, for your hard work and service. And I just want to stand and show my gratitude. So we will keep moving forward together, so thank you. In terms of vaccines work, and we see that, and I hope you're getting yours. And find a poster from the city. It's a group effort, so I want to thank, in particular, Lisa Anderson for helping us with this. But as you can see, yeah, it says, take your best shot, get your COVID-19 vaccine. And this would not work any other time. It's ACC tournament. So just one way of trying to get people's attention. So we're going to put these out around town and in some of the restaurants and that type thing. So again, one more way of improving this pandemic, getting through it. Yes, thank you. Yeah. As I said, the cases are declining, but please stay vigilant, continue your public health mitigation measures, and you can follow the CDC guidelines if you have had 2 shots and it's been 2 weeks. Again, looking for an immunization, BrunswickCountyNC.gov. You'll go to schedule COVID-19 vaccine appointment here, click on that, Walgreens.com, Galloway Sands. And groups 1 through 3 are open, in particular frontline workers, and that's a large group. And then group 4 will start on March 24th. Black History Month, that was a wonderful event. I want to thank the Southport Historical Society. I want to thank Mr. Donnie Joyner and Ms. Gwen Warren, and all involved. It was next year we'll be in person, so that'll be fantastic. I want to congratulate Ms. Dorothy Dutton, our new city clerk. We're so happy you're here. We all welcome you, and we look forward to working with you. So thank you. We had this on our desk, and I was going to mention it anyway, so I'm glad we're thinking alike, Randy and Lisa. Southport Connected. had an excellent launch on March 1st, and I want to thank the Department of Tourism and Communication for this. So Randy and Lisa, thank you, and thank you for keeping us connected. For further city updates that we had this past week, go to cityofsouthport.com, and also this should have been sent to you if you're connected to Southport. Sent to you. So hope you received it. Please look at it. Some good information there. And lastly, happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. May the blessings of St. Patrick be with you. So thank you. Are the staff reports. They're in your agenda packet, and I would like to bring one part of that to your attention. You'll see that the Southport Oak Island Kiwanis Club gave an award for Law Enforcement Officer of the Year, and that was for Excellence in Community Service Award 2021, Chief Todd Coring. So congratulations, Chief. I know this has already been out there, but thank you. And thank you for what you and your men do for our city. And also, it's Officer Spotlight Series. I like that, Chief, and spotlights each police officer, and Sergeant Thomas Moore. So thank you for that, and you can see the rest of your reports in the agenda packet. Next will be our board comments. Alderman Allen.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I do have several things I want to say. First, I want to start out by offering my thanks to Alderman Sharkey for your excellent work on the groundwater standards information. I think that's obviously it's an extremely important issue. It's extremely important that we as a city have our voice heard, and you made that happen, so thank you. I'm also very pleased we were able to make the city employee pay raises retroactive to January. I know we had talked about that, and I'm very gratified we were able to do that for our employees. They've worked diligently to help us weather the pandemic over the past year, and it's certainly well deserved, to say the least. And speaking of helping us, now that we're finally seeing some light at the end of the COVID tunnel, I know it's not over. It's a long way from being over, but personally I'm feeling better about the situation anyway. Maybe I'm being naive, but I think it's appropriate to thank our mayor for his thoughtful leadership over the past year. We're incredibly fortunate to have a mayor who's not only a physician but also has a master's degree in public health. He's done just, I think, a fantastic job in leading us through this unbelievably horrific and unfathomable time that none of us saw coming. And for your efforts over the past year, I offer my profound thanks and gratitude, Mayor. Thank you.
You're very kind. Thank you, Alderman Allen.
In regard to Mr. Price's comments about the street lights, ironically enough, I was taking my wife to the Wilmington airport very early Saturday morning, and I was driving and I was noticing some of the new LED street lights, which are incredibly bright, especially compared to the old one. And I'm, obviously that it's appropriate along some of our major thoroughfares, but I actually thought, my first thought as I was driving along was I certainly would not want one of those in front of my house. So I just hope, Gordon, that we can work to make sure we are able to come up with something that's gonna work well in our neighborhoods. Let's see, a couple other Mayor talked about Southport Connected. I want to also urge everybody to sign up for that. I got the email the other day. There was an excellent video message from the mayor concerning the pandemic, and there was another excellent little wrap up of some of the projects that are currently going on with the city. It's a great source of information now, and I think especially when and if we have another emergency situation, which I'm sure we will, it'll be a great way of getting information out to people. So I really urge everybody to sign up for that. And I just also remind everybody, daylight savings time kicks in 2 a.m. Sunday, so turn your clocks ahead before you go to bed Saturday night. Thank you.
Alderman Allen. Mr. Spencer.
Sir, thanks for, Mr. Price, welcome to Southport. Appreciate you being here. The landing is in my backyard. Actually, I got lost back in those woods when I was about 3 years old, chasing my dog, and he left me. And so that's playground for me. And so you're in my backyard. And again, welcome. We're all new at some point in time, and it's what cleans the blood. So, and we appreciate your input on the lights. The board idea was a great idea. I've been working in Durham on my house for 5 days. I get a phone call, Mark, you got to get home. They're selling boards from the dock. You've got to get here and get one. So, you know, I hope we can work that out. And I'm going to say something I would very rarely ever say. Please put the recorder off right this minute. But in the spirit of sportsmanship and pride in North Carolina, and again, I don't say this very much, but go Tar Heels. For you, Mayor. That's right. All right. Good luck, sir. That's it.
Thank you. Alderman Sharkey.
I'd like to first welcome Miss Dutton, Dorothy Dutton, to Southport, and I also want to thank Tanya Shannon for her excellent work, and I hope that you guys can be a team, because we need both of you. So, this has been Severe Weather Preparedness Week, and that's an excellent reason to sign up for Southport Connected, to be advised of severe weather that's coming our way. But the other reason I bring that up is I have a request, if I may. It concerns the street sweeper. I was approached by a resident that lives in a neighborhood that has stormwater pond, and they were concerned about stuff that goes down in through the, you know, the gutters and everything to their pond. And they were asking if it's possible to run the street sweeper in areas other than downtown. I've already had some preliminary discussion with Director Fox of Public Works and Mr. Tom Stanley, and there's some issues concerning this, you know, our equipment, the cost to pay somebody to do it, because the operator actually does it and overtime right now, I believe, because he has other duties that he has to do during the workday. So there's some things that would have to be investigated to see whether or not this is something that we could afford with our current allocation of funding for Public Works in the new budget year or not. But I'm just asking that as we work on the budget, could that expansion of street sweeping to neighborhoods that have stormwater ponds, because the goal is to try to reduce debris that's going to problem with severe weather, because then they overflow. If we could take into account what the cost might be to include some of those neighborhoods with an occasional cleaning, maybe after a storm or something, and let us know what that could be, and then we can make a decision with the new budget on whether we should do that as part of a Public Works responsibility. So this is just really a request at this time, if that's okay. Okay, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alderman Sharkey. Madam Alderman Lowe Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. This week, some people celebrated International Women's Day. And as you may or may not know, March is Women's History Month. And I wanted to say something about all this tonight, and so I started taking some notes, and I realized I probably shouldn't try to do a roll call of women leaders in Southport. Clergy, for example, virtually every church in Southport has women clergy or has had. Business leaders, professional leaders, but I decided instead of running the risk of leaving anybody out, because there are so many women who are in those roles and have been, I would mention two true trailblazers. The first woman mayor in the state of North Carolina was from Southport, and it was Dorothy Gilbert, also known as Dot, and also known as Chief Coring's grandmother. And he gave me a little bit of information about her, of course, concluding with she made the best coconut cake ever. So thank you to Chief Coring for that information. And I don't know if any of you know that Margaret Harper, right here from Southport, she and her husband donated, for example, the library. Margaret's granddaughter is the owner and publisher of our local newspaper. She ran for lieutenant governor twice and gave them a run for their money. She was the first woman to run for lieutenant governor. So I conclude with, look at this board, evenly. This is 3 women and 3 men on this board. And I mean, nobody's ever even commented on it, and I think that's progress. So that's it for me.
That is marvelous, and I appreciate that. It is International Women's Month, and the Today Show has been featuring, and Madame Curie is the only woman to win 2 Nobel Prizes, and so Mrs. Harper, I have a petition. I have one of her postcards for when she ran for lieutenant governor in 1968, and then she ran again in 72. So what a great lady. So thank you for bringing that up.
Her mother was the
Weather Tower
woman
watcher.
who put the flags
That's right.
up and down on
Jesse
the
Stevens Taylor.
Jesse Stevens.
Yes. So thank you. It's wonderful. And we are blessed to have 3 great women on our board. It's we need more women. Name the discipline. We need more women in engineers, teachers, doctors, everything. So thank you, and thank you for those wonderful remarks. Mr. Lombardi.
Yes, number one, welcome to our new city clerk. And just a heads up for our next April 8th meeting, Mr. Brayton Willis, chairman of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, will be speaking at our meeting and telling us about the expansion of the Greenway / Blueway Trail project in Southport. They want to extend it into Southport. So I was asked to talk to him, which I did, and I set up, it'll be on the agenda for April 8th. So just a heads up for everybody.
Look forward to that. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just have a couple of things. One, I want to reiterate what our city planner shared earlier. Brunswick County is inviting citizens to help develop the Brunswick County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. This plan will help shape transportation decisions for our area and for the next 25 to 30 years. And it's paramount that we have citizen input into that process. So please plan to participate in the survey. Our tourism and communications department will put a link on the city website. So please encourage everybody to go to the city website and click on the survey link, because it's this opportunity. It will directly impact our community. So this is our opportunity to participate. The other thing I wanted to acknowledge is our very own Kate Marshall, who is our animal welfare officer, has completed the North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission course that she is now a North Carolina wildlife control agent. She's certified to manage the wildlife in our community, which is a special certification, which she will be able to handle situations that come up with wildlife in our community. We don't have to wait for somebody to come from wildlife. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and tell her how appreciative I personally am for that. And she's awesome. Then the other thing I wanted to acknowledge was just something that came to us tonight on our table, that because, you know, the mayor acknowledged that we are now at the 1-year mark of COVID, and we all have been concerned about our own businesses in our community and the business owners and just all the challenges that has brought. Our, again, tourism, Randy Jones, our Director of Tourism and Public Information, applied for a grant and received a grant, $10,000 worth of advertising grant, and through the Visit North Carolina Recovery Marketing Credit Program. And this will entail, we will get to have, he's doing a half-page ad in this magazine that goes, Visit North Carolina magazine, that goes into every visitor center across the state, saying Southport's open for business. So that's pretty exciting. It's estimated to reach over a 500,000 people across the state. So that's really good, and special thanks for all that hard work. That was awesome. So that's all I got.
Fantastic, thank you, and great comments by all the board, and we appreciate everyone being here tonight, and those who've watched at home and those who may watch later. So I'm grateful for that. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mayor Pro Tem, a second. Mr. Lombardi, all in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.